Okay, so another news is China simulates hitting key targets on Taiwan. China has simulated precision strikes against key targets on Taiwan and its surrounding waters during a second day of military drills. The drills, which Beijing has called a stern warning to the self-burning island, a response to Taiwan's president visiting the U.S. last week. As the Chinese military simulated an encircle of the island, the U.S. urged China to show restraint. Taiwan said about 70 Chinese aircraft flew around the island on Sunday. 11 Chinese ships were also spotted on Saturday. Taiwan said that 45 warplanes either crossed the Taiwan Strait median line, the unofficial dividing line between Taiwanese and Chinese territory, or flew into the southwestern part of Taiwan's air defense identification zone. The operation, dubbed Joint Sword by Beijing, will continue until Monday. Taiwanese officials have been enraged by the operation. On Saturday, defense officials in Taipei accused Beijing of using President Chi's U.S. visit as an excuse to conduct military exercises, which has seriously undermined peace, stability, and security in the region. On day one of the drills, one of the Chinese ships fired around as it sailed near Pintan Island, China's closest point to Taiwan. Okay, I'm here in Sala, so they are already upstairs. So today's news, COVID may have originated from humans, Chinese scientist claims. The COVID-19 virus may have originated from human, a Chinese scientist said. Okay. The genetic sequence of viral samples taken from the Huanan seafood market in Wuhan, thought to be the ground zero site of the pandemic, were almost identical to those of patients infected with the coronavirus, suggesting that COVID-19 may have originated from humans, said Dong Yigang of the Beijing University of Chemical Technology. Dong, who was speaking at the press conference held by the Chinese State Council regarding research into the origin of the virus, said more than 1,300 environmental and frozen animal samples have been taken at the market between January 2020 and March 2020, and researchers had isolated 3 strains of virus from the environmental samples. He also said there was not yet sufficient evidence to back up recent studies that had suggested moon dogs were the origin of the COVID-19 virus. Speaking at the same event, a Chinese Center of Disease Control and Prevention researcher, Zhao Lei, called for global scientific collaboration in tracing the origins of the virus, saying that the site where COVID-19 was first discovered was not necessarily where it originated. Second news, Israel says its fighter jets have hit a Syrian military compound. Israel launched strikes against Syrian military targets after several rockets were fired from Syria. The Israeli military said a total of 6 rockets were launched from Syria towards Israel and 3 crossed into Israeli territory, the Israel Defense Forces said. One of the rockets landed in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights. So far, the IDF has not reported any damage in Israeli territory. It is the latest flare-up after Israel struck Palestinian militant targets in southern Lebanon and Gaza early Friday in response to dozens of rockets fired from Lebanon into Israeli territory. The Israel Defense Force said that it had begun striking targets Syrian territory after the rockets were launched a short while ago. IDF fighter jets struck additional targets. 4th Division of the Syrian Armed Forces military raiders statement. The strikes by the fighter jets followed earlier territory using an unmanned aerial vehicle or drone, which targeted the launchers thought to have fired the rocket.